Welcome to the video on expanding brackets. Imagine you have an expression which has been written out, something like this. What does it actually mean? Well, 3 brackets 2x plus 3 actually means I've got 2x plus 3, I've got another 2x plus 3, and I've got a third 2x plus 3. And if you remember about simplifying expressions, all I've got to do is I count up how many x's I've got. Well, I've got 2 x's here, I've got another 2 x's here, and another 2 x's here. So in total, what I've actually got are 6 x's. And then I look at my constants. So I've got a plus 3, a plus 3, and a plus 3. So in total, I also have plus 9. And I have expanded my bracket. Now clearly, this would be quite a long way of doing it if that hadn't been a 15 instead of a 3 there, and to write it out 15 times. But if you look, there's actually a quick way of doing this, because what I can do, if I write out the same expression again, 3 lots of 2x plus 3, all I actually have to do is I multiply the number that's outside the bracket by each of the terms inside it. So 3 times 2x, that will give me 6x. 3 times 2 is 6, there's an x there. And 3 times 3 is equal to 9. It's a plus 3, so it's going to give me plus 9. And you see I've got the same answer, but much, much quicker. Let's just do a second example, which is to show the same logic to it. So imagine I've got 5 lots of 4x minus 2. Okay, so again, once again, my idea is I multiply everything inside the bracket by the number outside it. So 5 times 4x is 20x, and 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. So I get 20x, take away 10. Apologies for my x there. Okay, now this is always going to be the same. It doesn't matter how we go with our expressions. I could have had something like, let's say it was 6 lots of 5 take away 3x. So it's in a different order this time, but it doesn't matter. We still use the same logic. So I'm going to do 6 times 5, which is going to equal 30. And then I'm going to do 6 times negative 3x. Now, just be a bit careful now, because we've got to think about the signs. You're doing 6 times a negative 3x, so it's going to be negative 18x. Now, there's one situation which we've got to be particularly careful of. And this is when we have a negative number outside our bracket. So let's say I've got negative 3 lots of 6x minus 4. Now, I think the easiest way of doing this is, first of all, because I've got a negative number outside the bracket, is I'm going to change the sign of everything inside the bracket and the sign outside the bracket. So this is the same as 3 lots of 6x was positive, so it's going to become negative, so negative 6x. Negative 4 was negative, so it now becomes positive, so it becomes plus 4. Now I multiply out those brackets. That's going to give me negative 18x. Okay, so remember I've done 3 times negative 6x, and then I've got plus 12 because I've done 3 times 4. So if I had another situation, another one scenario similar to this one, negative 5 times, let's say it's going to be 8 take away 3x inside the bracket. Again, the trick is change the sign of everything. Make the number outside the bracket positive, so that becomes a 5. But if I'm doing that, I've got to change the sign of everything inside the bracket. So negative 8 plus 3x. And then I multiply it out. So 5 times 8 is 40. So 5 times negative 8 is negative 40. And 5 times 3x is 15x. Now there is an alternative way you could do it. And if you can remember your rules of directed numbers, that same question here, so let's do it over this side, I could have said negative 5 times 8 minus 3x. If you can remember your rules of directed numbers, you can use the same strategy that we used before, because I could do negative 5 times 8, and remembering this is negative times a positive, that's going to give me negative 40. And negative 5 times negative 3x, well, a negative times a negative is a positive, so I know it's going to be plus. And 5 times 3x is 15x. And you'll see that you've got the same answer. But for this one, I'm using my rules of directed numbers. And the previous one, I just had to remember to change the sign of everything, and then I'm still using the rules of directing numbers, but not quite as complicated a process. So it's your preference which one you go for.